Alright guys, laws of exponents quotient property. This is when you are dividing terms with the same base, okay? So it's similar to the product property, it's just reversed, okay? So in the product property you had two values. When you're multiplying, you add them. Well, when you divide, you subtract, okay? Now the number one rule here is that they have to have the same base. So if you have like a to the m over b to the n, that's not going to help you, okay? You have to have the same base. These two values have to be exactly the same, or you cannot apply this property. All right, so the way it looks or works is something like this. So if you have a cubed divided by a squared, you're going to subtract these two exponents where the numerator comes first, okay, and then the exponent of the denominator comes second. This is super important, okay? If you do 2 minus 3, you will not have the same value, okay? 3 minus 2 is a to the 1 power. If you did 2 minus 3, that would give you -1, and it would be incorrect. So this is the way it looks when you break it down. A cubed is a times a times a. We have 3 a's here. A squared is a times a. So when you are dividing, they factor out. So a divided by a is 1. And a divided by a is 1. So these factor out to 1, and you're left with a by itself, okay, or 1a, or however many are left over. So that's why this works the way it does. If you need to break down your examples or your problems like this so that you can see what's going to factor out, then I would strongly recommend that you do so that you understand what's happening. And then with time, you'll understand that you just subtract them. I have multiple examples for you, and I'm just going to go through them so you can see how it works. You're going to have coefficients, okay, so simplify your coefficients whenever you can. If you can't, they just stay the way they are. 4 divided by 3 does not simplify, okay, and then you have r squared divided by r squared. That's the same thing, or you would do 2 minus 2 is r to the 0. It's up to you, but you know that this is going to go to 1, so you're just left with 4 over 3. Here I have 4x cubed over 1x squared. So we're left with 4x, and then this would be 3 minus 2, which is just 4x to the 1, which is just 4x. Okay, either of these are correct answers, however you want to write it. I have yx to the 4th over 4yx to the 4th. Okay, you should know that the coefficient here is 1. Okay, here you know that y divided by y is 1. X to the 4th divided by x to the 4th is 1. So you're just left with 1 over 4 here. Okay, I have 4x divided by 4x cubed. 4 divided by 4 is 1. And then you're left with x over x cubed, with this x to the 1 minus 3, which is x to the -2, which is 1 over x squared. If you haven't seen the negative exponents video, go ahead and watch it. If you haven't, then you would know that you would have 1 on top and 3 on the bottom, so it looks like this: x over x times x times x. Okay, x divided by x is 1, and you're left with 1 on the top and then 2 x's on the bottom, so x squared. Okay, this is why this helps, so that you can kind of visualize where your leftover variables are. Right, and so they just get relatively more complex from here. You have 2 over 1, which is just 2. X cubed over x cubed is going to go to 1. That's x to the 0. That would be x to the 3 minus 3, which is x to the 0. And then you have y cubed over y 4th. You could write that as y to the 3 minus 4, which is 2y to the -1, which is 2 over y. Okay, I feel like this method tends to be a little more complicated. Here you would notice, okay, I have 3 on top and 4 on the bottom. Where are my leftover values going to be? They're going to be on the bottom. So if you want me to write it out for you, this is what it looks like. You have 3 y's on top and 4 on the bottom. That's 1, that's 1, that's 1, and you're left with 1 y left over on the bottom. Okay. we go. We don't have the same amount of variables. I have a, b, c on top and only a, b on the bottom. 2 over 4 simplifies to 1/2. A cubed over a cubed goes to 1. b4 over b cubed, that's b to the 4 minus 1. And then there's only c cubed on the top. So that's 1. b4 minus 1 is 3. C cubed all over 2. Okay. Again here, 3 divided by 3, that's 1. H over h, h squared over h, that's h to the 1. So you would have h to the 2 minus 1. There's no j's on the bottom, so you're just left with j cubed. K4 over K4, that's going to go to 1. These are all relatively easy, huh? Okay, so then 2 minus 1 is h to the 1, j cubed, as your final answer. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know. If you need more examples, let me know. I can provide more to you. Get started on your homework or your stations, and we'll go over this a little more in class.